let's talk about like what do we mean by these like major technology project examples. So it's either implementation or like migration, like implementing some new system or new tool, or migrating from an old system or tool to a new system or tool. So one might be like, hey, you're going to do a big ERP implementation. So this is, you're implementing a new human resources or finance or like a student system for a lot of our higher education institutions, or something that's very particular to your business. And so the majority, like usually kind of the primary system that runs your thing. So some of the considerations as you're doing that is, the initial data migrations, how you're going to set up and configure the setup and configuration decisions, your code or reference data mappings and values, your ongoing system integration development and mapping for that new system, all sorts of new reports that you're going to need to write out of that system, the data training that needs to go on, and then security permissions and privacy policies against that data. So these are sort of things that you need to do. The traditional way that a lot of this is done on a big project is, you form these like data teams or project teams, and you're moving quickly, and you have these regular meetings, and people are making quick decisions, and they're passing around spreadsheets and Word documents and things like that. And that is great. And sometimes maybe you're working with a third-party implementer or developers or something, and they have their own systems and their own documentations, and they're passing them around. And then at the end of these projects, you end up with, a whole bunch of Word documents and spreadsheets and things that you don't really know, like, what's the status of those? What's, do we have all of them correctly? What's the versioning of them? And a lot of that knowledge gets kind of either lost or sort of immediately loses trust because you weren't really focused on capturing that information for the long term. You're focused on, doing all this stuff and getting it done as quickly as possible to be able to go live but on budget and on time. So a lot of what we're talking about today is how do you sort of pivot that discussion into saying, let's talk about how we take this work on, doing the data migration, making our configuration decisions, defining the codes in the new system, developing new integrations, developing new reports, training our users on the data. How do we, making security decisions, how do we do that in a way that we're capturing it for the long term and supporting our governance, and also maybe leveraging our expertise within our organization effectively, but doing that also in a way that doesn't hinder the timeline, goals, and budget demands of the project. So another example, similar to think about how to apply this to, and we'll do a lot of examples around this one. It's like a reporting tool migration implementation. So let's say, you're not changing your core systems, but you're implementing a new data warehouse, or you're implementing a new reporting tool or a new operational data store, or you're changing your database technology in some sort of way. The point of this is something where you're going to end up having to rewrite most of your reports, or a large swath of them. So this is a thing where you need to review your existing reports, identify which reports you're going to recreate, identify those new reports that you're going to build, understand the new data sources, and manage that report creation process and the testing and approval of that. So this is a big effort where we'll talk about how to apply governance to that as well. Another sort of example is maybe you're implementing a new point solution. So this is very similar to the full ERP, but maybe it's just you're implementing sort of a new CRM or a new, kind of facility system, or who knows, just like a smaller system that lives outside your main thing. You won't have all the same needs with before, your data migration setup, code values, ongoing integration, report writing, data training, all those things, but it may be considered sort of like less of a major project because it's not your core data system. And sometimes when they think about data governance or data intelligence, people have a hard time thinking beyond their core ERP system. But again, there's value in thinking about data governance and knowledge capture as you're looking at even these point solutions like a CRM. But also you might be thinking about, as you're doing this, like figuring out how to aggregate this data back into some sort of data mart or data warehouse. So thinking about that as part of this project as well. But the integration and lineage becomes a kind of a more important thing as you're implementing a new system like this. All right, the last one is if you're doing something that is kind of a re-architecting of your system integrations, right? So maybe you're moving data centers, or maybe you're standardizing on new system integration tools, like, oh, we're going to move away from a bunch of point-to-point, scripting codes that we've done to now using some sort of middleware ETL tool or something, or integration tool, or hub and spoke kind of architecture. So as you do this, you're going to want to sort of understand the business requirements of all those integrations that you have, the source and target systems that you're moving from, build that data mapping, get approval on the requirements, develop the specifications, test them, manage those, and then think about the short-term and long-term transparency, understanding and maintenance of those integrations, right? So how do you manage all this? So those are 4 just generic high-level projects: that implementing a new ERP, implementing a new reporting tool or data warehouse, implementing sort of a point solution system, a smaller system, or redeveloping the way you're doing a lot of integrations as well. And